All right, good people. So I've been getting a lot of messages, emails, DMs about the autopsy that was done on Nolan Wales, the young teenager in Mississippi that was found deceased on Lake Horn. I think the incident happened on July 4th, but his body was found on 6th. Since that time, it's gained a lot of traction on social media and in the news. Even Nancy Grace and a few other people have been involved. Tyler Perry, Colin Kaepernick, who's a few others, Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crump. Now, I'm not a fan of Benjamin Crump. I'm not a fan of Al Sharpton. Now, that's my perception. And I preface that because I'm about to use another perception versus perspective scenario here, a few of them. So if your perception is that all white people are racist, then whatever happens in this investigation, you won't believe it because you will look for information that only confirms what your thoughts are. That's your perception. And vice versa. If you're a white person that thinks all black people thinks everything's about race and these young kids are innocent that were involved, all the ones that came back, then your perception is that it was an accident, regardless of what information may come out until something disproves what you think. You apply information that confirms what you believe, confirmation bias. And I understand it on both sides. And I say I agree with it, but I understand it on both sides. I try my best to go down the center line as best I can based on facts, based on my experience, and also based on the information I get from people who are in that profession. I've spent 30 years as an investigator, and I got some experience. But in that experience, I have contacts and information with people from attorneys, defense attorneys, prosecutors. Some of them are my close friends. Some still active duty, some are retired. So I really have to be careful with using their names. They're not on my channel, but they are reliable resources. Now, with that being said, just know that for a fact, we can confirm that the young man is deceased. We can confirm that the cell phone and the keys were found at another location. We know that. The medical examiner in Mississippi did the autopsy first in Mississippi. Then the body was shipped, probably, I believe, paid for by Colin Kaepernick, sent to another medical examiner. Now, as the days pass, decomposition of the body affects it. There'll be marks and scars that probably weren't there before. And it takes another medical examiner there to kind of explain that as well, if that makes sense. So anyway, my point is, as time passes on, the evidence gets tainted, sometimes it's lost. And if this evidence is to exonerate anyone, it's also tainted. If this evidence is there to convict someone, or could be used to convict someone, it's also tainted. So any direction, regardless of your perception, the perspective is that the evidence has now been tainted to some degree. The sheriff spoke prematurely. I believe his last name was Ledbetter, Sheriff Ledbetter. He said there was no evidence of foul play initially. Probably wasn't good for him to say. Even if it was true, it's probably not good to say at that point. He has since talked differently. Can't say he backtracked, but he's talked differently since that time. So what I want to talk about more importantly is the fact that if there was evidence, it's now tainted. If there was a involved in this case, if someone did in fact Nolan Wales, that information is now tainted because the witnesses that were there are now being interviewed on YouTube, TMZ. A lot of them are being interviewed in other places, which taints the investigation. Now you have to rely on tangible proof, tangible evidence to determine what might have happened. Now, even though an autopsy was done, which is very crucial, that autopsy has to prove homicide. And that's a death caused by another. It has to say homicide. If it doesn't say that, done. Not much you can do as far as criminal charges are concerned. And let's say you do determine the cause of death and the manner of death. If you are able to determine that, now you got to prove who did it. Now you have to prove who did it. And how do you do that when everything's tainted already? If in fact it was an accident, can't really prove that. It's going to be a lot of questions there. If it was a homicide, kind of hard to prove that now. And if it was Who is responsible for his death? Is it he himself? Or is it the friends? Was it a malfunction? Was it a boat? Was it an accident? Nobody couldn't find it? My biggest question is, why was everyone home with his phone and car keys and he's not there? That is a legitimate question, regardless of race, regardless of what the perspective is or perception is. Perspective is he was in one place, his car keys and his phone was somewhere else. His mom had to track it down. That's a fact. But I was sent these messages and I was told to, or asked to, come on here and explain to some people who may not know that you have a criminal side, you have a civil side. Now, Benjamin Crump is a grifter. Benjamin Crump is a personal injury attorney. I have searched high and low, and if anyone can help me, I'm willing to receive this information or correct me if I'm wrong. I've searched high and low to find any excerpt, videotape, or even a picture of Benjamin Crump cross-examining someone during a trial. There are none that I could find. If you have one, please share it with me. If you have one, please share it with me. Because, again, he's a personal injury attorney and a civil rights lawyer. That's like having heart trouble and going to the dentist, right? You have a criminal side. So the criminal side is so important, it has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So that criminal information has to be preserved and has to maintain what's called the integrity of the case. So that integrity has to be maintained through the interviews. Those interviews are now tainted because TMZ interviewed one. There's a few podcasters have interviewed some. You got social media and Twitter, you got Facebook. Everybody now is talking and have tainted whatever information is out there. And Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton are not helping. They're not. If I were the family of Nolan Wales and Benjamin Crump posted pictures of my son instead of talking to the DA initially or trying to work with the sheriff's department right off the bat, I would have a problem with that. I would. Maybe that's because I'm a little more experienced when it comes to that. Maybe, maybe not. But I would not want Benjamin Crump in the middle of my shit. I wouldn't. I would not. He's a personal injury attorney. The civil side, he may be able to prove wrongful death. Then you got to prove who's responsible for that. One, all, many, who knows? How do you prove that? If there was a wrongful death, I mean, he's deceased. If there is a wrongful death, who's responsible for it? It's a long shot. Can't say it's impossible, but it's a long shot. Witnesses have moved. Evidence has moved. The autopsy is undetermined, pending further investigation to corroborate what he finds. What are you going to find now? What are you going to find now? What are you going to find now? If there's evidence that proves an accident, show. There's evidence to prove a murder, show that. The longer they wait, the longer they drag it on, whatever it is going to be a lot of questions. And a perception of some people is going to be that a young black teenager left with a predominantly white males or white group, and he came back deceased. That's that perception of the white group may say, well, it was an accident. His attitude, his personality might have caused it. Whatever the case may be, I've heard everything. Either one's ridiculous. He was deceased. He left with his friends, and they did not come back together. And his friends had his keys, or I'm going to say his classmates. I'm not going to say friends. His classmates had his car keys and his cell phone. That much we do know. But either way, I close by saying this. Regardless of what they find in the autopsy report, the only way, if the autopsy says it's a homicide, which means a death caused by another, if that is the case, now you got to prove who did it. And if you want to prove that, it's already screwed up. It's already tainted. That information is already tainted. If it was an accident, then it's proven. If it was an accident, there will always be the perception that it was not investigated properly and that someone involved might have killed it. They will always think that. So the quicker, the better in some cases, as far as the investigation goes. Not the conclusion, but turn the investigation up quickly is very important. Now, Benjamin Crump is not a help to it. to this investigation because everything that's told, he is talking about it at the NAACP rallies. He's talking about it on Twitter. He talks about it on all these interviews. You go around talking, but you should be talking to the people that's doing the investigations. You're talking to the public. You're stirring shit up. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Juneteenth holiday, more than 30 people were shot. 8 were killed. Most of them look like me. So you really give a shit, then why are you not there? Why are you not handling up on Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago? I got family up there. Come on, man. If you're going to be straight all the way, on both sides. That goes for everybody, in my opinion. If you're going to be straight and legitimate, take your perception out of it and think about the perspective. And those are closer to the facts. When you have a perception, that's how you feel about other people. When you have a perspective, it's how other people feel about you. And you look at more of the facts and what's there. Makes a huge difference. Anyway, case closed in my opinion. Up to this point, until something else comes up, feel free to send me a message if you got any. Please like, share, subscribe. If you want me to be more detailed, I can. I want the channel to grow. I have a wealth of information, some good resources. I'm going to use them to benefit the community in regards to race, creed, color, age, sex, gender, whatever. Doesn't matter. I want to be able to provide information that helps anyone in America or anyone, period. All right? I appreciate your time. Peace.
Keep my head up.